Montauk Historical Society.
All right, good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We're live on channel 22. We're streaming to YouTube. The phone lines are not open for this meeting. The meeting is being recorded. You may begin.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome to the December 11th, 2025 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. This is our last meeting this year. Our second December meeting falls on Christmas Day, so it's been canceled. We had 13 items before us this afternoon. 2 have just been postponed, so there's just 11 items on the agenda. The last is comments to the town board on the renovation restoration of the historic Carl Fisher Estate in Montauk. Peter Bickford, our alternate to my right, today replaces Diane Benson, who is traveling. Julie is on a much-deserved vacation next week, so the resolutions that come from tonight's meeting will be issued the following week, which is the Christmas week, but she'll get those done Monday, Tuesday. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting on November 13th?
So moved.
Chris, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. First item of business tonight is business signs. This is street food. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-1-22, and this is at 99 Carl Fisher Plaza in Montauk, and this is my application. So this is an application to add 3 gooseneck lights over the sign of this restaurant on the plaza in Montauk. Driving from East Hampton and entering the plaza, say at 6 o'clock on a round clock idea, this restaurant is at the 9 o'clock point on the road to the train station, and it's slightly off the circle, so it's a little bit dark to start with there. The owner applicant for this building have been previously before us, and we requested that they clean up the facade, which was full of wiring and unused electrical boxes, which they certainly did. I see no reason not to approve their requests. Will, can you show us the lights? She had a drawing. So that's the facade. Those are the gooseneck lights upside down, but you get there they are. So they're dark sky compliant. And they will go right over the sign, which is right over the central door. Any discussion from the board?
Can you show the photo again? So what's installed there is not what we're...
No, these are new lights. Those are like little tiny spotlights that light. They sit outside in the summer. But this is actually to light the street food sign itself. Yeah.
Okay.
Claire? Good.
No, I think it's good.
And the others remain?
And the others remain, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented. May I have a second?
Second.
Frank, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimously passed. Moving on to change to commercial. This is Naturally Good, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-4-12. This is 38 South Etna Avenue in Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
Okay, this is not the Naturally Good store and restaurant on Main Street. This is the original Naturally Good property, which is, as Chip mentioned, on South Etna, closer to the waterfront in downtown Montauk. The area in question here is a second floor. We're being asked to approve work that's already been done to change, as you can see, the lines in the stucco there. That was originally a covered porch, and they've enclosed it and added windows to the 3 sides of the end of the second floor. It's barely visible, as you can see, behind the vegetation, and you're sort of really peeping through, but there you can see the gable end view and a little bit of the other side facing the neighbor. It's just very straightforward project to kind of looks like as if it could have always been there. So it really doesn't seem very controversial. It's not particularly visible, in a significant way that adds or detracts from the streetscape. So didn't know if anybody, I don't know, is anybody here from the
applicant?
Hello, Andy Hammer. I'm here from Biondo and Hammer. I'm actually filling in for Joel, who's in Colorado. His daughters are competing for the U.S. trials right now, although probably aren't going to make it. but
Awesome.
That's because they're very young. But yes, I think this was done years and years ago. I looked at the original plans. We foiled them. This was a Tom Missing, I believe, or Frank Hollenbeck plan from the 90s. I think that it always had planning board or was on the planning board's final approval, I think in November of this month. So they were just kind of going through and cleaning up all the things, and this was arisen. But the birds in the picture, those are not part of the application. They just happen to like it there. And this is, I think it's a sushi store is on the first floor now. So,
And the hatch on the drawings, that's just indicating the area of work. I didn't see that there was any, I mean, because obviously it's just the stucco matches what was already there, so.
yeah, I think it actually just had screen windows. I don't think it was ever like a screen porch as you would think. I mean, it was the second floor. That would.
I don't even remember it being different.
Yeah, I don't remember it being anything other than what it is right now. And I do know that the chicken teriyaki is the only one my kids love from the downstairs place. So, although street food's good too.
So it is a little different than the plans because those are 6/6 windows and we have 1/1 windows now. So do we need to recognize as built? I mean, okay. So Chris, we should mention that.
So that would be, can we go back to the photos of the existing? Because I think the existing other windows, besides these ones and the other photos that you can see like in the overview, I don't think any of the windows have divided. Yeah, none of
That
these.
was probably plastic grids that snapped in.
Yeah,
and they just
snap-in
took them
grills
out.
or something
Yeah,
were
yeah,
used
yeah.
and they're taken out. So we're looking to approve 1/1 light pattern as an as-built condition.
Comments? Frank?
No objection.
Peter? I think we're good.
All right. Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
No, passes unanimously. Thanks, Sandy. Yep. Third item of the evening, still under change to commercial. This is Drifted Apartments, Units 62 and 63, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-110-1-13. This is 2178 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. Chris, this is also yours.
Okay, well, this is a property in Nepegue just before you get to the Hither Hills State Park and overlooking the dunes thereof. It sort of makes you think of like stopping at Howard Johnson's for a drink on your way out on the weekend. It's that kind of era. This property is, it's beautifully maintained, but it looks like people are starting to take single units, and in this case wanting to take 2 single units and combine them, which means that under each gable in this photo, you see that that's basically 2 units. So each door represents 1 unit. So what they want to do is take one of the doors away on units 63 and 64 further down, kind of midway on this run, and change one door to a window. And then on the other side, well, you can take a pic, show the shot that shows the sliders on the other side of the building. That's a close-up of the deck in question up on the second floor. So they're taking that one of those doors and changing that, and then they're changing out the sliders and moving one of those wall sconces to over the door. So this is not visible from anybody unless you're out there in the state park wandering lost in the dunes. So but it's also under a deep overhang and behind railings and up on that second floor. So it's really pretty minimal changes. I'm going to show the drawings. Is there anybody here from the applicant?
Yes. Jean is, right? Yes. Hi, Jean.
Jean Galante from Land Planning.
Okay. Well, can you show the elevations? There we go. So that's the change to the window, taking the door out. And on the other side, you've got the sliders. Those are existing HVAC units up above. They're encased with a kind of a lattice work. And I believe there was a different elevation that showed the lights moved as well.
Yeah, no new lighting. They're using, I think they're moving one existing
Yeah, they're moving
light.
one up for top
One
of
light's
it.
staying where it is, and I think the other light, the existing light's being moved.
Right. I mean, it's very minor. There's little cylindrical lights that are pretty discreet. Yeah, there you can see it.
So this faces the ocean?
This faces actually east and west. These are east. That's the west facade that faces the kind of the swimming pool, tennis court, lawn area on the interior of the property, and the sliders face east, which overlooks. It's really the last property before the Hither Hills State Park. So these sliders and deck are just out there looking over pristine dune.
Okay, so it's overlooking pristine dune and it's perpendicular to the highway.
Exactly.
So you really don't see it from any
No.
public vantage
No,
point.
this whole area, I mean, you can see how long these driveways are. You can go by at 55 miles an hour on that big stretch and not even notice that there's any development there at all. It's very discreet. So we're talking about basically something that other residents would see, and in that respect, really only the change from the door to the window, that one, which is behind the railings, up on the second floor, set back. So
It's very modest.
yeah,
I have no objection.
I don't think we're looking at anything controversial here. So
Are you good?
Yeah, no,
Peter, you're good?
Fine. I think we're all good.
well, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the application as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Frank?
Aye.
okay,
No opposed, unanimously passed.
all right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Moving on to fences, walls, gates, and burns. And this is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-150-10-12. This is 28 Ashwood Court, Narragansett. Clara, this is yours.
Thank you. So this application is before us today for approval of the existing gate, driveway gate and a fence. This property is set well back from the Ashwood Court and it's only partially visible from the two neighboring properties. The driveway gate is constructed from AZEK or similar material, painted white. The gate features white slots spaced to maintain 50% opacity, and it sits slightly on an angle, which we will see on another picture. The gate itself is 6 feet tall, with columns measuring 6 feet 8 inches on the left and 7 feet 3 inches on the right. You can see it in this picture better. Directly attached to the gate is a white fence made of the same material, and it's in similar style, matching the height of the driveway columns. Beyond this, the fence transitioned to a 7-foot chain link fence with a wooden post that is pretty much extends around the property, as you can see on the survey in a little bit. Do we have anybody here to speak?
Hey,
on behalf
yes,
of it?
Nicholas Kortsidas for the applicant. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon. I don't know if you have anything to add to the application, or did I miss anything?
No, I think you did a phenomenal job, and yes.
So this picture you can see, if you can go on back, well, this would be as you're going from the Ashwood Court. To the right, there would be the one neighbor. To the left is the property that we are discussing right now. So you really can't see anything as you are, driving. Even once you are on Ashwood Court itself, it's pretty discreet all the way back in the woods.
Can you confirm how high that gate was?
Oh, the gate was 6 feet. The actual gate, we can go back to the picture, perfect. And on the left side, the column on the left was 6 feet 8 inches, and the one on the right is 7 feet 3 inches. You can see I believe they're same height, but they're just slightly on an angle. So
can we bring up this survey? And rotate it. So it seems to me, because I'm looking at the property line to the left of the driveway on the flag, part of it says 390 feet. So as the crow flies, this is like 200 feet from the pavement of Asheville Court, right?
Right.
Asheville Court.
Yes,
So my
it's
question
deeply
is, why-
recessed.
Why is this in our,
Because it's over 6 feet high.
Yeah.
oh, it's over 6 feet high.
Posts are too high, yeah.
So if you brought it into conformance at 6 feet, you wouldn't need ARB approval.
Correct, and my client was trying to avoid that, so he said, see what you could do at the ARB.
Uh-huh. And under, this is a legal question, but I believe there are only sort of extraordinary circumstances in which we can approve a gate over 6 feet, correct?
Correct. And the gate is not the issue. I think it's the
It's
post.
the post.
Yeah.
That one post, right?
So can we see that again, Will, the uneven posts? So Nick, why are the posts so uneven?
I think topographically it's a little challenged at the mouth of the gate, so one side is a little bit lower than the other, and hence why they had to adjust one side of the post for a height of the other side of the post.
It also looks like the fence on the right there is probably coming in from a higher grade, and they
That's correct.
probably wanted to keep it level.
Right.
So just architecturally, it would look pretty awful to have it, you'd have to have a stepped fence or something to get down to that level.
Claire, what's your thoughts on it?
As I mentioned before, it's, you really can't see the gate unless you're entering the property, but I don't know what was the purpose of the gate, of the height, that it was, over 6 feet. I mean, the column on the right, it's over 7 feet. I feel like it's unnecessary. It
Could that be cut down to match
Yeah.
the other column?
might even look better if what was it, 6, 8?
It's not there. It looks like they've got fencing though for.
Yeah.
Yes.
For
But
the
that's,
air.
but that doesn't go, I don't know if I have another picture there, but
Going.
no, not really. It's just a little bit.
okay.
Yeah, it's like a one
Okay,
panel.
so
Yeah,
it's not
so it's
like,
similar condition on the right side.
Yeah.
And after is the chain link that continues. So
Then I like, fence is okay, the gate is okay, the remoteness is a plus for the applicant, but it'd be nicer if it was all closer to 6 feet. Because this is not an extraordinary circumstance where we would need to grant it a permission above 6 feet. It's just a gate in the woods.
Yeah, it really is deep in the woods too. I mean, I'm having a hard time seeing how anybody is adversely affected by this one way or the other. But I understand if we're not able to, if we're not given the right as a board to approve something this tall, then that's another issue. But
Well,
it's
I
just
think
so far.
technically it's not a front yard, right? Because it's a flagpole. So I think the board does have the latitude insofar as it doesn't impede aesthetic value and keeps in the character of the neighborhood. So I would say that that's kind of why we're here. So I was trying to avoid my client having to cut down part of his fence as well as that post.
Frank, do you remember on the cheat sheet that you
On my knee.
worked out of
it's like,
since this is not in the front yard, I mean, it's gonna count as a structure.
So this is their neighbor that had an exceptional,
this is the next door
the
neighbor.
European gates that we finally approved that's the neighbor to this property.
Okay.
Facing, you weren't here, but, okay, so the only time we've done this recently is for their neighbor who imported gates and masonry structures from Europe, and it was somewhere in the 8 to 10 foot height.
Okay.
So my understanding
In Southampton.
is that the ARB may grant approval up to 8 feet if it's at least 50 feet from pavement for agricultural use or to abate light noise pollution.
Right.
So
So
I guess the question is, does this
more than 50
legally,
feet.
can we, I'm just concerned how I feel about this, whether this is something we can legally do.
Oh, we can legally do it.
If it's more than 50 feet, that sounds like those are not. You don't have to meet all three of those standards. You just meet one of them, right? That's this, or that.
Well, neither are applicable here, right?
Just the 50 feet back from the pavement.
Not the light.
No.
Would your client be willing to fix that post and cut that fence down on the right?
Well, yeah, again, so that's kind of what we were trying to avoid just based on the topography of the underlying land underneath that boundary. It would require him to cut both the post and that respective part of the fence in this photo that we see before us on the right side of it. So that's why we were trying to avoid that.
Are you saying that are you saying that fence pretty quickly becomes 6 feet above grade just out of the picture there because of the rising grade?
The fence on the right side of this photo?
Yeah.
Yes. It's just this awkward angle of where
So it's
the
a
natural grade. Yep.
So it's an effect of the design of the fence that it's not really like a stockade fence. You can kind of bend it down if to follow a grade a little bit at at a slant, and it doesn't look terrible. This would basically look terrible if you tried to slope it to follow something. So if it's the only other solution I could think of is add another post at where it cuts off at 6 feet, and then have a lower piece down at the level of the gate. But we're splitting hairs over something that's in the middle of the woods that nobody's ever going to see, and I don't think.
Right.
Declare your thoughts.
I'm not inclined to oppose something like.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have been adjusted. I mean, yes, but once again, it's a deep in the woods. Nobody really sees it. Also, this was taking the picture a couple days ago. I'm sure in the, not that it matters for the board, but in the summer, spring, there's, you can't really see it with the vegetation, the pillars. So,
Peter, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's hard to judge what's going on with the grade there from that picture.
Yeah, I know. It looks.
That's the challenge.
Frank, your thoughts?
Well, it sounds like you got the votes, so might as well. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, if that's how.
I mean, it's an unusual circumstance.
Fine.
Okay.
See there, you don't see it at all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, that's great. Good to see from behind.
And further away, you can see the fence coming in.
So what are we approving? Are we approving a fence up to 6'8", a gate up to 6'8"? So someone could come back and put a gate that's 6'8"?
At 6 feet, the gate.
The gate's at 6 feet, the post's at 6'8", right, on the right? So that would have to say that specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in response to a very specific topographical condition, and in response to a very specific location further than 50 feet off the and invisible from any public right of way. I mean, it's very specific circumstances.
double check the picture.
I think it's about 6 feet.
Yeah, it's 6 feet. You can say, once again, because the grade, I would say 6. Could be 5'8" on one side, but
Okay.
Okay, so basically you're proving an oversized post and the fence to the right of it. Okay.
Yeah, and a little section of fence that just happens to.
and as far as the trailing fence that goes around the whole property, that's
6 feet?
yeah, it's over. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that too is beyond.
Yeah, nobody
50
can really
feet.
see that.
okay,
It's beyond the 50 feet back. So
we're good to go.
Okay. So in that case, I would like to approve this application for this particular location as presented.
Say exactly what it is.
So we are approving the existing gate that is 6 feet tall, with the post, one of them being 6 feet 8 inches, and the second one 7 feet 3 inches due to the topography of the site, as well as the fence panel installed on each of the side of the pillars.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Okay, unanimously passed. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Have a great holiday season.
You too. Still under fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is 321 Town Line Road in Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-154-1-4. Peter, this is yours.
Yep. So this is on Town Line Road, very far north of Wainscott, near Sag Harbor. It's a very wooded area. This side of the street has, appears to have larger lots there. The applicant's lot is 4 acres, over 4 acres. There are long driveways like you see here, in multiple succession, all well numbered. So I don't know the problem with people driving up the wrong driveway, but there seems to be a lot of signage on the street about no trespassing. There seems to be a problem with people driving up the wrong driveway in this wooded area. I don't know if you can see the gate will be 50 feet back from the road pavement, and yeah, thanks, Will. It's right at the back of the car there. I've got a tape measure down on the ground that goes back 50 feet. So it's very visible. It's very open woods. It's not hidden in any way. The issues with this gate is more, partly its design. It is designed to be 6 feet on either end, dropping to 4 feet in the middle, less than 50% transparent. There's 6-inch wide clear cedar wood boards being used with only 2 3/4-inch gaps in between. The columns will be 6 feet high, roughly 11-foot square, steel columns with painted AZEK to match the house as trim. So it's quite a statement. It's not incorporated with deer fencing or anything. It's just standalone to keep people from driving up the driveway. The other thing I noticed is there are no other gates in the neighborhood. This would be the first and a prominent one. So I don't know if you want to add
Sir, you want to
anything.
introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Diego. I'm the GC on the
Right, okay,
on the project.
contractor.
We can go back to the picture you had before, the one with the
That's
So
the
the
design
car?
of the gate, yeah.
the one that showed the location of it. Yeah. If you notice a little bit behind the red dot that you have there, or the tape, is that a tape? That's what it is.
Yes, that's the,
Those stakes that you see on the right and maybe on the left, you see it. That's the 50 feet we're supposed to stay from the setback that you require.
Right.
And when we try to plan for that gate to be on that spot, we realized that because of the steepness of the road, we were going to hit the road. So, and then we try by calculating using those hinges that lift about 8 inches. Sometimes they lift and open, and we still hit it. We would have to narrow the gates, and that's not a good idea because of the fire trucks or whatever. So we're just asking to be 35 feet away from the property line, just so our gate clears on that, because the road goes, whoever was there could notice that it goes up, straight and up. So that's where we want to, just as long as we can clear the open of the gate, and that's what we're asking for. And the reason people drive on their driveway instead of the actual road from the town is because it's unpaved, the one it's next to their property. So sometimes people are just wandering around and they just get wrongfully on their driveway. This was asphalted last summer. So all of a sudden you have a road there, it's new, and then people just go in. Not everyone, but you see a lot of. Well, and we want to stay enough away from the road just so big trucks can back up and circle around. I think that's probably the last house on that side of the paved street, or maybe there's one more after, and then the rest becomes just gravel all the way to Saw Harbor.
yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
You see people walking there a lot, but not driving.
It's an impressive neighborhood. It's safe walking, and I saw many people out yesterday
People with
morning.
dogs all the time. Yeah.
More foot traffic.
So from what you're telling us, the point of the gate is to signify people that it's a private
It's a
road.
private property, but also the gate needs the clearance to open freely.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess the question is, why can't that be accomplished 100 feet back with a 4-foot gate?
That goes all the way. It's like
Yeah, but if you see it
it's uphill.
somewhat down the, I guess my objection or two is I have several objections to it. We explain. I don't want to go too far in it, but in terms of how we judge a gate is the design, is the location of it, how close it is to the street.
Yep.
Its material, its transparency, and its design. So for me, the biggest problem is the location of the gate. It's not doing anything in terms of actually fencing in the gate, fencing in the property. It's just keeping people out. And there's no compelling argument why it needs to be so close to the street.
Or so high.
Yeah, it's not for fencing purposes, because they fenced the back of the property. They did a re-veg. They bought the property with a little issues there, and I think they went through with you guys, and they re-vegged the entire back of the property, which is big, and they fenced that just to protect it from the deer to start eating what they just re-vegged, but they don't have any intentions of fencing any other than the pool area. So this is just to tell people that that's the place, that's the house,
If that's the case, then you could do a 4-foot tall gate and not be in front of the board at all.
Well, yeah, the thing, yeah.
So I think some of the design objections that you might be.
Yeah, and then the gate drops to 4 feet. When I first saw that, I thought it was incorporated with deer fencing, and I'm thinking, well, deer are going to get over that, but.
So let's see the design for the gate, Will.
Yep. We lower it because on the original plan was a little higher, but.
There's no reason for it to be high.
Yeah.
Because all you're trying to do is stop cars.
Yep.
Well, it has to be probably higher than what your drawing is showing because of what you're saying, the grade of the road sweeping up behind it, which means that as it swings open, it's going to hit the asphalt. So what you've drawn here is probably only a few inches clear. It's probably not enough. So it probably would have to, it's going to end up being like, okay, it looks like this on paper,
4 inches
but
off the ground.
it's going to end
here.
up being 4 or 5 or even
I
6
think
inches
it's still
above.
level enough from the 50-foot point that they can open it.
Yeah, but
The grade starts beyond.
I guess my point would be, rather than face objections about design considerations and everything else, if you're able to convince your clients to keep cars out with a 4-foot gate, then you wouldn't even have to come back to us. You could just apply for a building permit for that.
Well, yeah, the thing is, the building department, they sent me your way because they said I needed your blessing because they missed to add that gate into the permit.
You do because it's higher than 4 feet. Yep. If it's not higher than 4 feet, you don't come before the ARB.
And how about the setbacks on like?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. 4-foot gate is
anywhere
as
within
of right.
the property.
Closer. It could even be closer.
But I would have to revise that with the clients and see if they're willing to, because we already lowered the design of it, like the height of it, by our request with the architect, just to see if we could do it. And the reason that it's me who require that to be pushed a little bit. So in terms of like functionality, because what they were asking for on 50 feet from the property line was not feasible.
Yeah, because of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem with the transparency. I mean, it's a solid gate pretty much.
Okay.
And the height's too high. So I would urge you to talk to your clients about a 4-foot high gate, and you can put it anywhere you want, and we don't even want to see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't come.
And the real reason is there's no other gates in this road. Once one big gate goes up, other neighbors go in, and then we got this, cavalcade of gates going up.
And you've heard us talking about other gates in this meeting, and those have very specific circumstances in terms of the locations, whereas this would become part of the streetscape and therefore a real precedent for others to come before us for asking for tall gates, and that's something we don't want to encourage because the town code does not encourage that.
Can I say something on my defense? Just
absolutely. No, this is nothing personal, by the way, toward you.
So I could have just come with a 3-foot shorter fence than the one you just approved as a work done, and I just came to try to do it on the best possible way. And what I'm asking you is not that crazy of a request. It's just.
But there's no need for the gate because you're not keeping anyone in or out like deer or grandchildren or the usual reasons we get. You're just trying to keep cars out. So, I mean, I would just urge your client to think think about that. I mean,
okay.
We know the client because they've been before us before.
Yeah, no, they're nice. They're nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful property, but beautiful properties don't need to be gated off so no one can see them.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's just for their peace of mind of the kids just not being run by someone.
Okay, sure.
It's just like.
And it's completely understandable, but cars will be kept out very effectively by a 4-foot gate or even a 3-foot gate if you wanted, whatever you wanted. But anything up to 4 feet does not come before the ARB.
Okay.
At all. So you wouldn't have to come back to us. You could go straight to the building department.
And would you consider like a more transparent gate? What, like 50% transparency or what is that?
Yeah, 50% is our standard usually. So you can see, you can't see, you can see, you
I
can't.
get it. So that's the architect's design, because that's what they have inside of the house, and, you
Yeah.
know, repetition design and all that. But if that's the case, would you consider it so we can come back and talk to you about it?
Not at the
Back
site.
here with a more transparent gate that's in its current location.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we want to just keep the location because I
Yeah,
can give
and
them a
not this
gate
height.
nowhere else.
Multiple issues.
Yeah, I would urge you.
My job is to give them what they are asking for.
I know,
so-
but tell them, we'd like them to think about an
So
alternative.
whether it's a 4-foot gate or 50% transparency gate.
At
and
4
that-
feet, it can be, I mean.
Yeah,
I
4
wouldn't
feet
want
could be
you to do this,
anywhere,
it
I
could be
know,
solid,
yeah,
but
I
we
get
would
it.
hate that. But it's not our call. But anything over 4 feet, we're going to tell you it has to be 50% transparent.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I can work with that, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item, still under fences, gates, walls, and berms. This is 694 Hans Creek Road, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-74-3-4. This application has been postponed until January 8th.
Sorry, this one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, jumped my gun. Okay. Go on, sorry.
Okay. So item 6 has been postponed.
Okay.
Moving on to item 7. This is 12 Green Tree Court, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-126-1-14.24. This is an Amagansett. Frank, this is yours.
Okay, great. This is an application for modifications to a resolution for a gate, which we've already approved. So we had approved the gate, it came back for a CO inspection, and there were lights added to the gate. So that we have a modification before the board today, and then we have a CO inspection. So really that's all we're considering. And so there's a dark sky compliant light on either side already installed. So that's what's my understanding. If you'd like to introduce yourself and add to.
I'm Howard Chesson, representing my wife, Sandra.
Okay.
I had no idea when we went before this and when we submitted everything, and I met with you several times, that we weren't allowed to put lights in. We were only found out after when you came in and we were called and said lights weren't in. The lights that I put in are dark sky compliant. I have a photograph here which I can show you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
low level ambient
Great.
light. It's only to shine a light on the driveway a little bit so you see, and for the number of the house. So when someone comes up, they can see that it's number 12.
Yeah.
That's it. And so once, but it's not as if I try to sneak something past the board.
No.
I had no idea.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, and
So to give the board just remind you a little context, so this is on a court up in Amagansett off of Old Stone Highway. You actually drive there by getting to, what's the name of the road off of?
La Forette.
La Forette, and then you drive down. So there's very little like public traffic that goes down there. Also, the court where the driveway starts is higher than the gate. So you're kind of slowly driving down to the gate.
Yeah, there's actually no public traffic. It's a tiny cul-de-sac with two other homes, and then one's a flag lot in the back. That's it, and it's just a cul-de-sac. So nothing comes through there unless they're delivering to the house or it's my one or two neighbors.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the modification as presented.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So passed.
Thank you.
Let's do your C of O while we're here too.
Now, I'm also on here, I just noticed for a little bit later with CO is.
So the CO,
now.
yeah, we're going to do it now. So the to make it easier for everybody. So the CO inspection means that we go back to the site if it's not yet been built when we approve it. We go back to the site to make sure that what has been built conforms to the resolution that's been approved. Clearly it has, because we've just approved what's been built. So I'll only note to the board that there is a bit of a builder's tolerance in terms of the height on this one, in terms of the columns. So we had approved 6-foot columns. They are a little bit higher. But
That looks like pretty
How'd that
well
happen?
builder's tolerance there. That's close enough.
I didn't go out with a tape measure, but I know that they were supposed to be built to spec the way you approved it, the best of my knowledge.
Who was the builder?
It was East Hampton Fencing Gate.
Okay.
so, I mean, it doesn't match the drawings exactly in that respect, but in this case, simply because of its location and its location relative to the street being down, I'm willing to go with it.
Yeah, it's a very tasteful gate and the lights and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the lights are, we've approved the lights just now. And it is worth noting that the standard resolution that the ARB puts out says no additional fences, gates, or illumination thereof, which requires approval of the board, shall be placed on the side without prior written approval. So, the board was as clear as they, as we can be about the lights. But, having said that, I don't think it's, I don't see any issues with them. As you said, I was in favor of them just now voting for it. I just wanted to note that. So.
Okay, so we're good to go?
Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to instruct the staff to notify the building department that this application has satisfied the conditions and substantially conforms to the ARB approval of the resolution.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
So
you.
passed. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays.
You too.
Happy holidays to you, sir. Moving on to agricultural overlays. This is 157 Long Lane in East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-157-3-11.2, and this is mine. Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
So I'll talk a little bit and then we'll ask you to chime in, okay? So this nearly 1 acre property sits on 3 sides in a large ag overlay on the south side of Long Lane near the Iacona Chicken Farm. It is the only house on this side of Long Lane after you pass the high school. The house dates from 1975, and over 50 years, various accessory structures were added without permits. Applicant inherited the house from her father and now seeks to legalize 8 items, including an above-ground fire pit, which I will go through the photos in a second, outdoor enclosed shower, which we're looking at here, 2 air conditioning compressors adjacent to the house, cascading steps off a deck on the back of the house, an 8x12 shed, which was recently moved to conform with setbacks, an addition of 200 feet of 8-foot high they want to add 200 feet of 8-foot high agricultural fence along the front of the property, replacing a failing stockade fence, legalize a 6-foot high chain link driveway gate, and install an 8x8-foot above ground hot tub. So let's just run through the photos quickly. So this is the shower. Those are the 2 air conditioning units covered for the winter. This is the failing stockade fence parallel to Long Lane and the chain link gate, just one gate that opens to the left. This is the other side of the stockade fence, so I guess it's along Long Lane. This is the back steps that sort of cascade off an addition to the house. This was the shed that was moved a few feet to conform with setbacks on the rear of the property. That's the site of the future hot tub. That's it, Will, right? Okay, so all of these improvements seem okay to me as long as they respect the setback requirements. The only issue I have relates, and that's the fire pit. The only issue I have relates to a 50-foot scenic and conservation easement, which parallels along Long Lane, granted in 1975 by the applicant's parents. That easement stipulates that no buildings of any type or structures of any type be built in the easement excepting a driveway. So the stockade fencing we looked at, soon to be an 8-foot deer fencing, and the chain link driveway gate need to be removed from the easement and properly installed 50 feet back from the property line. I don't have a problem with the chain link gate per se. It is very transparent, but I'd like to hear what the rest of the board thinks about that. The current 8-foot high deer fencing on the sides of the property wander a little bit off the property into the neighbor's property on the back left corner and the front right corner, and they're going to need to be moved onto the property itself. Carmen, would you like to fill in anything I missed?
Sure. Just to clarify, when we say neighbors, it's corn this year. Maybe next year will be potatoes. It depends on the farmer. As a matter of fact, you know, it's very interesting growing up there since 75. Nature adapts to humans. I find that, you know, from the change, I find that humans are the ones who have a problem with adapting. But my parents put this fence really from not, I mean, it's beautiful to see those fences that we just saw. This is not for adding value. This is not from the perspective of the fence to hide the house. This has always been about safety. And so living out there as a kid, and now we are surrounded, we've been out here for just 4 days. In the 4 days, I've actually chatted, we live mostly in Massachusetts, we're in Massachusetts, so we come back and forth. And in the 4 days, I've chatted with the wildlife. We had a distempered raccoon in our property that was going in circles. Didn't realize that we have a problem out here, and hopefully someone puts out, but they've picked up over 300 raccoons. Then a mom and a baby deer that I've seen behind us. You can see it's corn. So every morning I get to see them. Unfortunately, on Long Lane, even though it's 45 miles per hour, people speed down Long Lane. So they were killed. Mom was killed, baby was not. So we had to get the police and the wildlife involved. And then this morning we saw a dead buck. The reason why that though happens all around our home is because it's, as Chip, the chairman, mentioned, we're the only house when you're going down to Stephen Hand's Path or when you're going to Newtown Lane, we're the only house around there. So the deer or the wildlife come out from this year cornfield. Once again, it's either tall grass or potatoes. Those are the three things.
So Carmen, this is your property, that little square,
Yes.
and that's all the farm fields around it, yeah?
It's, and Mr. Kaplan, who used to own it, so back in 1975, my dad worked for Mr. Kaplan, gave the surrounding areas, with the exception of those 2 acres, to Mr. Schwank's son, who was the farmer at the time, who has died. But all the other areas was given to the town for 99 years, never to be built. But I think something changed again in 1984. So it's all farmland. We're the only house there. And that's why when I say about the fence, it really is for safety. It's not.
You're talking about the stockade fence in the front of the property?
Yeah, and then, so what we understand is that Eastman, which thank you for sending that document to us today, we understand that by law or what happened back in 1975, my parents were somehow told to sign something and give that as a gift for $1 to the town. So now that's something that we have to live with. What we're realizing is that instead of, and the stock fence is falling apart, it's really old. So we can remove that, but what we're asking now is what can we do so we're not putting it in 50 yards, so we're going to create more for, literally deer will be just hanging out there. I'm trying to think about common sense, or what's the most reasonable thing. Is it that we put the deer fence on the property line? And
No, you're not understanding.
I don't think you're listening to him.
The easement is a legal document.
Put anything
Right.
in there.
Yeah, you
Right.
cannot put it, you can have nothing there. So here's the map. Long Lane is the top left. So see that parking space? That's roughly where 50 feet is.
Right, I
So
understand.
you have to move your, I mean, a deer fence is relatively transparent, so you have to move your deer fence there, you have to move your gate there. But, you know, once your parents sign this, there can be no structures of any kind in
Right.
the easement.
But could you put so this is the border, this is the property line right here, right?
Yes.
So couldn't you put the deer fence right there?
No, you can't. That's
whole
the
area.
Structure means literally nothing but a driveway.
There's the right of way that the town owns, and then there's a 50-foot scenic and conservation easement.
Right.
You have to be behind all of that. And it's not something we negotiate because of the farms or the deer or anything. It's a binding legal document that your parents signed. And we've gotten into situations where there have been mistakes, where things were built in scenic easements, and they get ripped out immediately. So I can't stress how important it is that you respect the 50-foot easement.
Could you put plants, hedges?
You can,
Yes.
yes, you can plant it, but you can't put anything that's man-made, a structure.
Okay, so I thought we read, or maybe that's my mistake, I read that outside of the easement, so on the property line, you could put a deer fence, not a
No,
stockyard.
Anything from the line of the easement to the street, you can't put anything.
That's the town right
The
of way.
easement is supposed to be a natural beautifying aspect to beautify driving down Long Lane, so you're not bumping into fences on the left or the right. So the whole point was to preserve the open land, not to have you fence it in because of all the situations you've described. I mean, it's a large property, it's an acre property, you're losing 50 feet of your front yard, but it's a deer fence would be transparent. You wouldn't really see it, and you could do it right before that parking space.
Yeah, but in essence, we're giving up the land.
No, your parents gave it up years ago. They gave it up 50 years ago.
And not giving it up, as we said, you could, it could be planted, and then you could see through that fencing to the beautiful planting that screens you from Long Lane.
So we could put hedges like I see in other houses, or even on Long Lane, we see hedges.
Planting is nothing to do with a human-made structure.
If
Right,
it's
Alex?
a live animal or plant, you can put it there.
Not
If
animal.
it's not alive, can't put anything there.
And, okay, so you can put hedges in the eastman, no problems.
Not in the easement.
We can't
Yes, in the
stop it.
easement, not in the right of way.
And then what about, so we could do hedges along here, and then this gate that's currently here, that would have to move to here,
All of that would have to be back there, yeah.
just the gate.
And the fence, and the
Well,
fence.
we won't put, there won't be a fence, it'll be hedges.
But how are you going to keep these
Whatever,
animals out?
what,
If that works.
whatever you want to put behind,
Holly,
If it's alive,
you're on.
Yeah, there are deer proof.
sure. You could
But you
put
can't
also,
put a gate there, so I mean,
But right here I could.
Yes.
so you're going to hedge right up to the gate? I mean, it's a puzzle for you to decide. It's not ours to recommend it to you, but
anything alive and growing is beyond our
yeah,
jurisdiction.
yeah.
Okay.
As to the other 7 items, does anyone have any comment about the things I mentioned?
not at all.
Okay.
I would actually, my preference would be in terms of the stockade fence. I would prefer, it's actually would be contextual. I would be more comfortable, particularly in a lot like this, to see an 8-foot agricultural fence around this property than a stockade fence.
There is an 8-foot agricultural fence around 3 sides.
Around.
Right.
So where's the,
Stockade fence is parallel to the road,
oh, okay,
Yeah.
then,
and that's falling apart. It needs to be
okay.
replaced.
So I'm not in, I'm not comfortable with a stockade fence.
Yeah, it needs to
Right,
come
it
out.
has to come,
She wants to put an 8-foot deer fence across
Okay.
the front, which
I'm
would
comfortable
enclose
with
the whole
that.
property in 8-foot deer fencing.
Okay.
So it sounds like, just because of the fence lines wandering outboard, we can't approve it, lock, stock, and barrel here, and also, of course, the easement issue. But yeah,
We could approve it. We could approve it. It just, for the CO inspection, it has to be moved. It has to be moved back into
Yeah,
the
so,
property line.
so you have to adjust those two, they're like 8 or 10 feet of fencing that's outside the on either side.
Yeah.
And you'll need to update your survey when you're ready to come back to us for
It's pretty, yeah.
CO inspection.
No, and that shed that got moved would be located on the new survey versus you drawing it in. Yeah.
Yeah, we redrew it in.
It's okay.
Okay, so what are the,
So what are those things? There's the hot tub, there's the,
Will, you want to go through them again real quick, so we all understand what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Need to?
Any objection to
So
the
that's
other
the
stuff?
open shower. It's adjacent to the house.
Fine.
Those are the air conditioning units, standard practice. That's the chain link gate currently. That's the stockade fence along Long Lane. That's the cascading steps off the addition. That's the shed, which has been moved to a more suitable spot. That's the site of the future hot tub. That's the fire pit that's in the far back of the property. Okay.
And just to let you know, just to let you know in terms of what comes with the property you've inherited, is that because of how it lies in the agricultural reserve or ag overlay, it's very special that basically anything you build in there, any modification has to come before us. So just so you're aware.
For example, like, I don't know if you were here earlier, but we suggested that somebody who wanted to build a 4-foot fence wouldn't have to come before us.
Right.
They're not in the ag overlay zone.
Right, no,
You
I
are, so even
I
a
learned
4-foot
that.
fence would have to.
I've learned a lot from your fabulous colleague right here. So it's been a learning experience that I used to, anyhow, it's been a learning experience.
Okay.
Well, the upside is you get to live in a fabulous spot. So
It is fabulous, but again, from the safety perspective, that's why I was here for the fence, but it'll be a journey.
So Julie, we're going to pass.
Sure.
Okay,
And
so,
then you have 3 years to fix everything that we said, and you're gonna also have to apply for a building permit from the building department.
We got the permit for all those things.
Okay, so.
We already
now
paid
you
for
have
that.
So you have to do all of the work and then get a CO inspection from us.
Right, because they probably haven't issued the building department because they haven't issued their permit because they're waiting for an approval from the board to say
So
that.
we got in the mail to Massachusetts, yeah, okay, because we did get building permit yellow things, okay.
okay, so I'll conform. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented, noting that the deer fencing outlying the property, the 2 corners, has to be brought onto the property, and that the applicant has to respect the 50-foot easement in the front of the property along Long Lane, which means that nothing can be built in that easement, and what is there has to be moved. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Chris, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, so pass, Carmen.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
And then I'll follow up.
Work with
you as well.
Julie, yeah.
Yeah, next steps.
I'm not gonna be next week, but I'll be in touch.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
Next, still in ag overlays, is 2 Wainscott Main Street in Wainscott, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-2-41. Peter, this is yours.
Yep. So 2 Wainscott Main Street is actually, the driveway faces Town Line Road. So I spent my day at the very southern end and the very northern end of Town Line Road in East Hampton yesterday. The house is, the corner of the house, you can't quite see it in this picture to the right, is about 28 feet back from the asphalt. And the gate that they're proposing would be 20 feet, which is right on the line, but they're clearly space constrained here in order to get a gate in. There's a turnaround to the right that will be eliminated from the driveway. This will be a overall 15-foot 9 wide sliding gate with metal, black powder coated metal framing, 5'7" high posts, 5'3" high gate that will slide. It's going to be constructed. The metal framing will be sheathed with 1.5-inch Western cedar horizontal slats with comparable gaps, so it's 50% transparent. So I think the gate overall looks fine. Unlike the other neighborhood on Town Line, this neighborhood, almost every driveway has, on the East Hampton side, the east side of Town Line, almost every driveway has a gate, pre-existing.
Rife with gates.
Rife with gates.
And this is a sliding gate.
This one is sliding because of the condition, I assume, the driveway is constrained.
As you mentioned, space constrained. It's the only way. If we had a swing gate, we'd be into the driveway.
Right.
And that would start to compromise some of the parking spaces and functionality there.
So would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Ian Hambeck, THLA for the applicant.
And what I noticed to the right, there was a whole, I don't know if we have all the pictures. I took a series of pictures. That's the survey.
So you cut down some of those trees to
Yeah,
accommodate
this-
the gate?
Yeah, they're in pretty poor health, those Leyland cypress, as they tend to be as they get that size. So they'll be
not
replaced
my
with
photo.
Great Western.
So these are other gates on the street, right, Peter? What is this?
Oh, this is a gate on Wainscott Main Street.
Yeah.
Do you have other photos, Will? This is a neighboring gate, I'm guessing, which is solid.
Number 6.
This one is on Town Line Road, on the east side of Town Line Road, the East Hampton side, Town Line Road also.
And where are these relative from the street? I mean, I know you're not going to go out there and measure every one of them. but-
Distance?
Yeah, approximately.
They're
relative to this.
They're 30 plus, all of them. But they have longer driveways. This one doesn't have 30 feet.
Yeah, this has a 2 frontage, so you're a corner lot, and I think that that's constraining both the building location and also the access there. Is it safe to say, I don't know if we can see from the aerial, but I would imagine the town line properties are deeper.
Yeah, I mean, this is elongated over Wainscott Main, right? And it's shorter on the town line. The depth is shorter along town line.
Right.
And as you noted, the house is at roughly 28. So once you factor in the position of a gate and any sort of circulation between the gate and the side yard of the house, we're sort of netting out around that 20-foot number to maintain that circulation.
So I was going to say that I'm guessing that there's a fence, I would see it on the survey, going from somewhere along the sides of the house to the property line, then it circles the back of the house. So it's not like you're fencing and finishing the fencing of that corner at Main and Town Line, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a line of sight it's a busy intersection right there, and there's a line of sight where it says arborvitae, but they're Leyland cypress on that corner, where they have to be set back at a 45-degree angle. So we're not maxed out. You can even see where the pavement goes over the property line. We're not maxed out to the extent of the property line. So we're somewhat also governed by the size and scale of those pre-existing trees relative to the sidewalk and the street and some of those other pre-existing elements.
So it's really for privacy, and right?
Yeah, I mean, cars, when they're at that stop sign, you could have 2 or 3 cars stacked up on a busy summer day that are looking right in their front door.
Will, can you go to the plan of the plan sheet that shows the plan and elevation of the gate?
So what's the height we're being asked to approve?
5'3" on the gate and an additional 4 inches for the post.
So what about the fire department requirement that a gate needs to be set 20 feet back from the pavement?
Or 21
This is-
feet?
20.
Oh, you're
This
20?
is just 20.
Oh, you're just 20, okay.
Just 20. So
And what-
that's what it's spec.
And this plan has it shows what looks like maybe the Leyland cypress being recreated, maybe in a different line on the right there?
Correct, yeah. We need to create a little niche with hedging that the cantilever of the gate can slide into, so that remains hidden both from the inside and the outside. And so what that really will do is it'll create a lower level of landscape that supports the gate before it steps back up to the hedge. So, we're trying to create an appropriate scale at that arrival moment as well.
It also helps the
It's a
visibility.
very tough lot. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pinched in every direction.
So it is 5'3", it's not 6'3", 6 for being.
No. 5'3" height.
Yeah, and some of that 5'3" too, I believe, is the 4 inches of snow gap at the bottom. I think the actual gate's like 4'11".
So the context of this is a neighborhood that's full of gates because it's a busy road, Town Line Road's busy, people speed to the beach. So at first, when we thought about it, we thought, what's going on? But the more we look at it, it seems to be contextual to the neighborhood. So,
Yeah, and I think given the position of this property on that busy corner, I think it's merited to have a little protection there.
And the slider is probably the best option.
Yeah, once you do the swing, you're almost on
Again, you lose
you're going to be in the
turnaround space.
You look at that.
I think also if this were like on Main Street, more in the historic area, I'd feel differently about it, but.
Yeah. It's across the street from, again, I had photos. The Sagaponic side is just overgrown.
It's actually on this drawing in the lower right-hand corner. I think there's a view looking to the west there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing across
that's
immediately.
for sale though.
Oh,
think I saw for sale. So, yeah,
I wasn't sure if
Be
it
a
was.
beautiful house over there. It's
a highly coveted vacant lot in Sagaponic. Okay, are we all clear? Yeah. Chris? Peter,
problem with it.
good
Yeah.
Frank, you're good?
Okay.
I'm okay.
And it's black, right?
Yes.
Well, it'll be,
It's cedar.
yeah, cedar is the
Cedar
clad.
slats,
So
But
gray.
it'll be stained black or just natural?
black powder coated.
frame. Oh, sorry.
Oh, powder coated, but okay, it'll weather naturally. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So
make a motion.
make a motion to approve this project as proposed.
Second?
Second.
Frank, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. You. Okay, we did the certificate of occupants for 12 Green Tree Court already. So our last item before we get to comments to the town board is Faro Beach, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-32-3-14. This is 3 South Lake Drive, Montauk. Peter, this is yours.
Yeah, so we reviewed this at our November meeting. I had gone out to, this is in order to move, to allow the applicant to legalize some decks and trellises that were added prior to ownership years ago. This board approved the application in April of 2024. I went back out so that they could move to a C of O and discovered some discrepancies in the measurements of the trellises and decks. We considered updating, if you will, the application and the approval, and have come to the determination that we can approve this as a Scrivener's error, if all agree.
Okay. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Are you a Scrivener?
I'm not a Scrivener. It wasn't my error. Okay, I make a motion to approve this application for a request for a certificate of occupancy and instruct staff to notify the building department that this is ready to go to C of O.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously passed. No. Okay. Now for the comments to the town board. This is the Carl Fisher House, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-74-3-4 at 44 Foxborough Road in Montauk. Chris, this is yours.
All right, this is house built in the 20s by Carl Fisher, the person responsible for pretty much the backbone and skeletal structure of Montauk and many of its biggest monuments that are existing today. So he's a very significant figure in the history of the hamlet of Montauk and therefore the town of East Hampton. This was his own house. More recently was in the Aikens. It was called the Aikens property, where people like my son went sledding there in the winter. Apparently, people still do. So it's a really beloved property to people in Montauk, but it's also culturally very important to with Carl Fisher being such an important character in the development of the town. It was built apparently based on Fisher's admiration of Mount Vernon. So it has that's a carriage house. That's not Mount Vernon, but it could be. But there's a historic photo in some of the documentation that shows the property as white cedar shingles. Should bring it much more into the character of that Mount Vernon feel to it with the big double height porch and everything. So the property has been designated as a historical landmark, and that's why it's here before us. As you can see, it was built back when Montauk had no appreciative tree growth. It had all been grazed, and the views were apparently sweeping in every direction from this hilltop location. Since then, there's been massive tree growth all around, and you don't get that sense of the sweeping moor landscape as Carl Fisher referred to it anymore. But you're still seeing a lovely property on the hill. A lot of challenging topography around it. The carriage house that you see to the right of the house is part of the current application. That other garage/carriage house is not there. And from the property survey, it looks like it's actually not even on the estate property. I don't know if it was a subdivision in the past, but that's no longer there and not part of the application in any case. So we're looking at the carriage house and the main house, and the town is the owner. Montauk Historical Society is the current tenant, and they're proposing a four distinct projects scopes. One is for site and building, another one's for plumbing, another one's for electrical, and another one's for HVAC. These would be four separate projects, but we're being asked to give comments. Now, frankly, there are aspects to things like HVAC that are visible from the outside, things like the outdoor unit component of the HVAC, but you know, we can look at some of the interior details in terms of, you know, plumbing and HVAC. But let me give you a general overview of what we're looking at. In terms of site and building, the main moves here are replacing the existing septic with an IA septic system, including a pump station that would bring the septic up from the carriage house to this new system. We're looking at 11 parking spaces, some of which are down at the carriage house and others are shown clustered around the main house. We're looking at paving the driveway, which is currently paved and kind of patched in not great shape. We're looking at a configuration for an ADA ramp for accessibility to the interior. We're looking at some metal fire escape stairs coming off of a third floor window as a secondary means of egress from the third floor. They're looking at a general project of restoring trim, siding, select windows, masonry work at the terrace paving areas. They're looking at insulating the structure, which includes taking off the shingles and adding an insulated sheathing board to everywhere except the gable ends, and then shingling over top of that. So you're getting a kind of a continuous exterior insulation rather than ripping apart the historic interiors to be able to insulate from the inside. It's apparently, it's 1920s. If it's anything like the Carl Fisher house that I live in, it's very drafty. So this does involve a change of use. It's a residential structure. It's now Carl Fisher House, town owned. It's host to exhibits and historic exhibits is also broken up into museum space, which is an assembly use, and also business use for administrative offices. So with a change of use, there's all sorts of review of the codes where you're taking a historic building and you're allowed to use the New York State existing building code, not just apply standards from the New York State building code for new buildings. It gives you some leeway in terms of how you can address some things like accessibility, fire safety, egress, and other systems. So the application is pretty clear in what they're intending. If you want to zoom in on that a little bit, well, you can see first up at the carriage house, there's existing parking there. They're looking at doing asphalt with, striped indicators of parking spaces there. A couple of them in front of the garage bays and a couple of them into what's been converted to residential space. And so the drive, there's also the deck would be rebuilt there, which is on the left-hand side of that. Again, new HVAC, plumbing, and electrical work involved there in that structure, and as well as the exterior renovations and restorations and repair work. So then you go up the hill to the main house, which is the museum and admin offices as proposed. And the original driveway, which you see is a kind of a dirt driveway in the very early shots from the 20s and soon thereafter, it's now paved. As I said, it's pretty bad shape. But on the right-hand side now, there's a fairly flat lawn that's surrounded by a split rail fence before the grade drops off. That is now shown. Part of that would have the septic underground, and then they're also showing 3 parallel parking spaces pulled off of the driveway. That's the covered porch, the double height covered porch facing east that's facing, and then you continue to sweep around. There's currently a wooden wheelchair ramp that heads up to that double height covered porch that they're proposing to remove. Then as you sweep around the oval and you come around to the other side, they're proposing to add 3 accessible parking spaces and the striped loading areas, therefore off of the driveway, just directly opposite the smaller porch facing west, and also replacing that existing wooden ADA ramp with a concrete accessible ramp and walkways with a stainless steel pipe railing going up to the back porch of the building. Then let's see, what else do you see here? You see a very small rectangle right in the nook there, right there where Will is indicating, which is a concrete pad, which is the landing pad for what's called out as a mill finish aluminum switchback staircase, which would be what they want to do is they're taking an existing 3rd floor window and replacing it with a casement with the same light pattern to allow for emergency egress as a secondary means from the 3rd floor. You'd have to come down that staircase over part of the roof, and then you're out in the clear, and then you'd come through the switchback stair down to grade at that point. And that's that you'll see that in the elevations. There's a few little HVAC units that are shown in those little hatched boxes around in several different locations around the building. Let's see, I think that's it from the site plan side of things. Probably look at the elevations is probably the best way to move forward with this. So the first floor is designated as museum assembly space, and that has one set of rules. And then the 2nd and 3rd floor is designated as a business space, which is what offices, whether they're admin offices or commercial, doesn't matter. They're considered a B zone, a B use, and that gives you certain requirements for egress from those. So here you're seeing both the west elevation above with the smaller porch and the double height porch, sort of Mount Vernon side over there down below. You can see the switchback stair on the right of the main mass, on the left of the main mass, coming from the 3rd floor windows there just to the left. And then you can also see the accessible ramp leading up to that smaller porch there in kind of a magenta color on the right. Most of the project, I mean, the imagery on the elevations doesn't change because basically, they're not proposing changes to the actual design of the building. It's really all in the details. Where the bumping at the adding of insulation on the outside of the building allows for that better insulation without harming the interior finishes, but it also means that on these faces, not the gable ends, where there's rake trim going up the gambrels, and it's a challenge to make any change to the depth of the facade. But here, you're actually losing 2 inches of the soffit overhang. The roof maintains the same, the eaves, the cornice and everything maintains the same, but you're losing 2 inches of soffit overhang by pumping that out. And you'd see that, you'd see that at the bottom. The wall would overhang 2 inches more over the stuccoed parged foundation than it currently does, but that's a very small foundation visible there. So what else are we seeing on these elevations? Some of these most of the windows are to be restored, left original. There was a fire on the upper floors of the building at one point, and windows were replaced. They're now looking at replacing these with the Marvin Essential line, which would have the same historic light pattern. So they're and they're wanting to do thin profile storm sashes on the historic windows so that it doesn't massively change the character of those historic windows. Roofing would be the same. Shingle size and character would be the same, except it would be pre-stained white as opposed to the current natural cedar. What else do we see in here? Let's keep going around the elevations. They would be restoring the door, the front and the back door, redoing the masonry paving of the porches, and as I understand it, as I understood it, and perhaps the applicant can clarify, but I believe that single-story porch elevation has to come up a little bit so that it's easier to negotiate in a wheelchair up to that door. So that would mean the ramp would be raised up to a slightly higher point. This door wouldn't need that change because they'd be taking away the wheelchair ramp from this porch. So it's really essentially the back door that leads into a small foyer in the building that would get that change, and the main front door here would be restored, but kept as is, basically. They're restoring the trims. There has been work done to the property, so one of my questions would be what degree of historic documentation exists either in old photos or drawings that would help us with that. I mean, for example, the cornice around that single-story porch on the right of the drawing is it looks like it's kind of modern flat AZEC trim instead of any kind of profiled cornice. I don't know if that was original. It's hard to tell, but the capital on the double height columns is currently just a puny little trim piece that goes around there. They've changed the nosing on that's on the skirt board of those double height columns as well. That's modern. I don't know if it was just matched in kind. It's hard to tell. So in the effort of trying not to recreate things conjecturally, I'd be interested in finding out from the applicants what kind of documentations are able to exist that would guide the restoration and renovation of the property.
Drew Bennett. No, Drew, do you want to come up and fill us in anything?
Hello, board members. I'm Drew Bennett, consulting engineer. I've been hired by the town to assist them in restoring the Carl Fisher House. I'd like to let you know that members of the Montauk Historical Society here, board members and members, and Mia Surtek, who is the executive director, is here as well. So
Great, we welcome you all.
very, very supportive. So I don't really have a presentation planned. I think Chris has done a very good job in terms of summarizing what the scope of work is. I'm available to answer any questions. I think, would it help if we looked at some photographs that I had sent in? You know, sometimes pictures are better than, and so I'll let Mia address the some of the historical records, but what I've learned is that the number of existing photographs of the house are pretty limited, and you'll see some of them, I think, in some of the pictures that I have here. So this is the carriage house, two-bay garage. This is the east facade. So essentially this roof stays the same, the trim comes off, and it gets reshingled. And we put back new white shingles, basically, so.
And is the use of this remaining residential with the two garage bays as well?
Correct. Yep. Second floor is entirely residential. There's a small apartment on the first floor. This is the main house, this core section of this. This is the west entry. Both entries lead to like a main entry foyer. So the handicap ramp that we're talking about will be along this section and will connect to this flagstone terrace, which will be reconstructed.
Was I correct in assuming that from the drawing notes, it said it sounded like it needed to be raised up a little bit?
So that the
Pitched,
threshold
okay.
doesn't become an obstacle.
Okay.
The shutters, all of these windows and doors will be restored in place, including the shutters. The existing shingles, as Chris had pointed out, is the same size and style, it'll just be white, as you saw in the earlier photograph.
Okay.
The roofing itself is in fine condition, so we're not going to touch that. New shingles, new paint across the board. As Chris had pointed out, the exterior will have 2 inches of insulation board as a way to try to tighten up the building, which right now is uncomfortable in hot weather and cool weather. Maybe we can go to the next one.
So question about that. Sorry to interrupt your presentation here. So if the walls are getting packed out 2 inches all around and the windows are not changing because they'll stay for historical reasons, what happens to that trim detail?
There'll be extension jambs on the outside, not the inside, so the window position stays the same in the wall. You'll see that the soffits, doing this from memory, they're drawn correctly in the drawings, but they're 18 to 20 inches, they're deep. And so the thinking is that the loss of the 2 inches won't be noticeable in the soffits.
You can see how that is. You couldn't do that on the rake there of the gambrel.
Right.
The trim is flush with the siding, so there's really, without changing the actual nature of the whole gable end, you really couldn't do that. So
wait, all right, so that end can't be packed out.
None of the
Yeah, it gets too complicated with the rake and the roof.
Yep.
So on the gable ends, we'll strip the shingles and the sheathing and insulate
From the outside.
on the outside, which is not ideal, but it's really the only practical.
limited
way of
scope,
doing
though.
it. Chris had mentioned an egress window from the third floor. That's it. It'll be converted to a casement window, and there will be basically a ship's ladder that comes down and will land here.
And what, will that be painted white? Will it be left?
So the shingles are white.
natural?
The ladder is aluminum.
Is it a ladder or a
Excuse me, I'm sorry,
staircase?
you're right.
It was there were
It's a ladder.
references
It's a
in
set of
the
stairs. It's aluminum.
there are references in the drawings to a
aluminum
ladder, but
because
it's
we're
a,
trying to keep the weight light. The rails for the handicap ramp are stainless steel. So the aluminum and the stainless against the white backdrop should.
Why is the staircase on the exterior, if I get this right?
It's primarily a fire code issue. It has to do with occupancy, number of occupants. Has to do that it's a 3-story building. It's an unsprinkled 3-story building. And it has to do with the travel path out of the building from the third floor, the distance of travel. And so this is something that we've been discussing for a while with the fire marshal and with the historical society. And
So it can't be anything like, you can't use like AZAC to even that.
With a ladder or for the stairs?
Not the actual treads. I mean, I guess, what's the point in doing that then?
Yeah.
I just don't, it's hard for me to envision what it's going to look like.
It's going to look like a fire escape,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it is.
a big fire escape, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be in front of the gable, the
So you're gonna come
dormer
down, you're gonna have
window.
a platform here, it's gonna come out, and then it's gonna,
Switch back in front of that first
it's
bay of
reflected in
windows.
the elevation.
Yeah.
So Drew, are the shutters the original shutters? Or we think?
I would say they are.
And are they fixed louvers or movable louvers?
I think,
They're actually board shutters.
Oh, board.
yeah,
And a very charming cutout.
yeah.
I see.
The whole place is beautiful, and I should point out that Mr. Aiken, Bill Aiken is here also.
Right, right. I visited several times. So will the shutters be painted a color?
Sage,
Sage, green? Okay, got it. Which is what they are now?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so the house, the shingles will be painted white, or is it being like this, natural?
Stained.
These shingles are being removed.
Right. I realize it was being
The
replaced. but-
siding shingles are being removed, and we're gonna put on new shingles that will be white.
And
Style, same dimensions, same
pre-stained.
reveal.
So it will go back to its white.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's another earlier photo that might, somewhere, there's a picture of the house that we got from the historical society that shows it under construction. These are the double height columns that Chris was referring to. We've seen this already.
Yeah, it's a shame not to have any documentation of what the profiles would have been at the Capitol and the base.
Beautiful entry door. Which is on the east facade.
Oh, there we
So
go.
this came from the historical society, which is a beautiful picture.
Look at the landscape there. I mean, that's why Carl Fisher called the landscape the moor. He referred to it as moors because it was really sweeping, rolling, open landscape.
And
That's not the way it is now, right? We don't have that
columns now.
Is that the front or the back? This is east or
That's
west?
the
Back.
west
That's the
elevation.
double height portico going up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the east going with the double height portico. You can see the pediment of the double height porch there.
The photograph's been flipped or something because
It's stretched across.
isn't,
It's
The front of that-
strange.
Is it
It's
the
strange.
entrance outside?
Actually,
No, the rear.
actually, it's strange. You're right. That's the space on the left, on the right that now has the very tall chimney
yeah.
and no dormers, and that means that single story porch was originally had a second floor gallery and a roof over it, a pedimented roof.
Right? Yes, sir. Come on up and tell us. So we hear, yeah, you have to be on the record.
Bill Aiken, a member of the family. That has always been a curious picture to me, because from my earliest memory, which would have been 1956 when my parents bought the house, and previous pictures that I have seen, that roof structure on the second or the third floor didn't exist in my memory. I believe, and there were several other changes from this status that I believe were done during the construction, because I know 1956, that was not there. And if you go back to a previous picture, you'll see that there is a dormer structure in there. That the existence of this roof line was more or less discovered after the fire, when we went upstairs and found in that area burned structure that indicated that that was there. But it was not there when we bought the house in 1956.
Curious. So the whole back porch got simplified.
It was, the back porch was there. with a railing around it.
Right, but it's
That was
nothing
it.
like, it's not as grand as this.
There were no columns and roof overhang and pediment. It's
Town's not
really
gonna
interesting.
restore that?
And the fireplace not the fireplace, the chimney you see on the far south side, that was at one point only raised as high as that first level of roof on that far south side. And then because of a downdraft problem, they had it extended much higher, and it draws very well.
Yeah, you'd think even up on the hilltop like that, you wouldn't need the height, but you definitely do.
Yeah,
You need
apparently it blew down, and
Yeah, I'll
and
bet.
you will see there's a little stone column around where the extension was added.
It's a very tall extension.
Yeah.
Strong,
And the
strong
size of the
winds.
rocks all the way up on the third story are astonishing.
Yeah.
Strong winds up there would really push the smoke right back down. Even though it's trying to rise with heat, it's like the wind is so strong up there. Yeah, as you know better than I.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
That's a really interesting kind of
That was a
detail, and
fascinating
it's interesting because now the reconstruction or the restoration of the building is to the point that it currently is, and not trying to conjecturally restore something, because there we have no evidence of what those columns would have been. So I'm sure unless there were good photographs of that, it's really hard to try to.
That's a much grander porch than what we have now.
Yeah. But it's an interesting. It's a single stacked single height porch as opposed to the grand double height on the other side.
Right.
Very different character now.
So I got one question about there's an existing ramp on the entry side. Is that going to be removed? That's got the natural railings.
Existing wood ramp that is on the east side will be removed.
Okay.
And as well as the porta-john.
As well as what?
The porta-john is down there.
So Drew, why wouldn't you leave that ramp? Because it's almost at grade level now.
Actually, it's not exactly at grade level. It's a little,
there it
height is a little bit better than the rear. The thinking, it's sort of a group decision, a consensus was that the west side was a better place for the ADA parking. It goes into the same entry foyer, and it didn't impact the grand double height entry.
Okay.
I think it makes sense.
Comments, ready for comments from the board? Frank, you have thoughts about it in general?
In general, I'm supportive of it. I don't have there's nothing I think it's an improvement to it. I mean, aside from architecturally having to bring it to be ADA and fire code compliant, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. I think it's making the best of a difficult situation, a challenging task at hand.
Yeah, I would agree with Frank.
No issue.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to say a few things. So with these grand estates like this, the house was half of it and the grounds were the other half, and they have to work together so you get the full effect of how, marvelous these places were. And, I've been to this house and I keep thinking, why did this man build this house here? Because there's no redeeming features of that site. And then you realize that everything has grown up. And so I think we're going to add a note to the town in our comments that, they should consider opening up some of the landscape or a view corridor so you get a sense of how important this site was. He could have built this house anywhere in Montauk, and he built it here. And when you're there, you don't understand why he built it there. So I would push for some landscape restoration and taking out brush. The other thing is that I don't like the parking spaces in the front. You drive up to this grand house and there's 3 little parking spaces. There's a huge lawn to the far left. I would rather see the parking off separate so you don't impact the house. Asphalt is the bane of a lot of these renovations, restorations, where it gets flat. I think, oil and gravel on top of Amosite rolled with a roller would be a much more appropriate look than surrounding the house with an Amosite circle, essentially. It doesn't work on hillsides, but it would work on the flat spot. I think, we're very enthusiastic about this. It's a great house. If you think about Montauk, there's the Seven Sisters. This house could probably be the ninth or 10th sister in terms of famous houses that we just don't see them like this anymore. So.
Well, I need to do something I should have said earlier, which is to make full disclosure that my wife is actually a part-time employee of the Historic Society. So that's not.
But she doesn't work in this house.
No, she does not work. She works out at the lighthouse. My comments to follow up on Chip are again, in general, incredibly enthusiastic. It really is a labor of love to take care of the grand houses that have historic and architectural quality, such as this one does. And it's a very important project. And I think that's for that very reason, I think that we have to be very, very careful about both in terms of what the code dictates that we do as advisors, and also in terms of preserving and protecting historic structure, to be very, very careful about the alterations that are made and additions that are made to the original. The standard is high based on the existing house and the architectural quality and the cultural historic quality of the structure. Where I'm seeing more of an issue is I'm standing right here in 3 paved handicapped spaces directly opposite the back door. And yet you have to go to the right and then up a concrete ramp with stainless steel handrails, very out of character with the house. I think the nature of that ramp, whether it's there, I first of all, as an architect, try to make it so that people who need to be in a wheelchair can arrive by the front door, and not be shuttled in the back door. I think they deserve to arrive by the grand porch on the east, as they do now. So I think that's something that could be considered with. I'm not sure why there are 3 accessible spaces. My understanding of the code is that for a structure of this size with only 11 total parking spaces, some of which are for employees, I don't think you'd need more than 1, but Drew, maybe you'd correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it's a lot. But regardless of whether they're accessible or not, I would say the siting of those could be more carefully considered away from the east and west views of these main facades. I think there, as Chip noted, there is room to the south, where closer to where the existing ramp comes down, to consider that, to allow the main sweeps of the oval to be left more as open and sweeping, because that's where you're going to get most of the views from the inside of the museum looking outward. I think obviously there's constraints with grading on the site, but I think there are opportunities there. The ramp, again, whether it is reconsidered on the other side, going to the front door on the east, or whether it's here, I think the design of it could be more in keeping with a sensitive addition to such a house with such strong historic character. The stair gives me. I'm all for people getting out in case of emergency. Don't get me wrong, and I think that there's a great. We have to figure out some way for this to happen. I'm really reminded of the former Prince Charles, now King Charles, who called the addition to the National Gallery in London the carbuncle on the face of a friend. And I'm really hesitant to see an aluminum mill finish utility fire escape stair in front of those windows and coming down the roof, coming down from that side window. And I know that earlier drawings showed a ladder fire escape, which certainly has its, I'm sure the fire marshal had issues with that because it's not a real approvable means of egress. So it would have been great, but here we are. I just, I don't know the ins and outs of the occupant load of that third floor. It's about an 1,800 square foot area, 3 bathrooms, and the rest are currently bedrooms. I guess they'd be offices. I don't know if there would be some way of decreasing the occupant load up there by using that for other spaces other than just to be able to bring the occupant load down to where you wouldn't need that second means of egress all the way down to grade. Again, I didn't do a deep dive into the chapter 12 of this is the old story of the balance between life safety and current needs and accessibility to people in wheelchairs. We have to address these things, but how we address them is I think key.
So a couple of questions then, just following up on that. I mean, in terms of the egress, is the reason because the house isn't sprinklered or can't be sprinklered? Or is it would sprinklering the third floor alleviate the need for this?
The short answer is I believe it would. I believe it would. There were discussions about sprinkling.
Adding sprinklers.
The interior, but the interior is very, very important to preserve. And so there was not a lot of interest in terms of, a new foundation or let's get the inside so we can redo the electric and insulation and fire sprinkler. And so, the consensus was that it'll be unsprinkled. The third floor is a nice space. They want to use it for their office space. And
it's probably the only place you get a real sense of the vistas that you originally had as well.
It's not Mr. Brown's fault. It's it's life safety. And so he's been very supportive of the project. We've worked through different options. It doesn't mean that we can't go back and revisit it, but we've met personally 3 times to go through various permutations of this. And this is, where we are. So
I mean,
I understand your comments. So
I would prefer to have, if the third floor is not going to be a public space and it's going to be for offices, and so the decision is to put, as Chris said, kind of a carbuncle on the exterior, so the offices aren't sprinklered. I mean, the town actually does own the properties. I mean, it just doesn't sound like a very good trade-off to me.
And the weird thing is, so the first floor will be open to the public, but the second floor will be offices and the third floor will be offices?
So these are really technical matters in terms of.
It's just the use classification.
The grade B thing.
Yeah, so the first floor is the public space. It's
right.
Open for events. The second floor is also just as beautiful, but will not be public, so to speak, but it'll be open for exhibits and people to study and so on and so forth, is my understanding. And Mia may correct me on what I just said, but that's my recollection. And then the third floor is truly day-to-day office space.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I see the master suite, or the primary suite on the second floor is huge. It's half the house. I think the public would like to see that space. And I think putting people just on I've been there and I asked the Historic Society docents, could I go up to the second floor? Oh, no, you cannot go up to the second floor. And I was just a visitor. It was nothing to do with this position or anything. But really, a house this grand, you should make as much of it public as you can, because it shouldn't be an office building. It should be it's a house museum. So I think we would suggest that more of it be open to the public, particularly that second floor principal suite. I mean, it looks like it's half the house.
They're going to have to hire Annabelle Seldorf to redo it just like the Frick.
Now, with regards to the ADA ramp, is there something that could be done, to your point, about grading to the right there where you grade up somehow, where you, I don't know, we're,
Go back to a photo of that.
It's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah. I think, I just wonder if there are parking location and siting issues that would allow you to rethink. And the grade is more naturally inclined toward a ramp on where it is now, and it's a much higher porch over on the other side because the grade is dropped lower.
Yeah, and if the parking for accessible parking could be to the right beyond that chimney, you'd get the ramp there and you'd get the parking there. And
I don't want to be in a museum and look out at the Hyundai that's parked out there,
no, right in the lawn.
Yeah, I want to look out the main.
Yeah, particularly both sides. So anyway, I mean, these are things we'll noodle about.
So
But
there have been permutations
yeah, I get it.
similar to what you just described, and then put it in your comments.
Yeah, we will, sure.
I mean, just sort of doing due diligence as a designer, not that I'm suggesting this, but one option is to say, look, this house is a house museum, and the 1,800 square feet up there is a 30 by 60 box, which could find a home somewhere on the already cleared area without dealing with the grade challenges, and you'd have an incredibly modern, comfortable office environment, and avoid the third floor egress issues. You'd lose the view for those offices, which would be a shame for the people working there because it's a real bonus. Just as an option, you could say, let's design a very low key, off to the side, office environment.
Additional building you're talking about.
Yeah, as opposed to renovating anything to add to that. It's like you sort of have to look at every single option on when you're dealing with that delicate balance between needing to maintain life safety and fire safety and accessibility, and maintain the incredibly important architectural character and historic value. So there are no easy answers at all, but it's a incredibly exciting project, and I think this is one of the best parts of being on this board, where you get to have input on this kind of really important project. And I think we look forward to kind of working with the applicant and the town and the Historic Society to really kind of make it as successful as possible for everybody.
I think the saying "do no harm" is important here because 50 years from now, the Historic Society may not be here. The building may have a different use, and yet we have this cascading fire escape coming out of it. So I think keeping it to its original integrity is the best possible route, but accommodating a modern use, but not ruining it with stuff that's going to really detract from the exterior facades. So, okay. Any more comments? Are we good? Yes, ma'am?
Just want to ask.
Sure.
Do I have to come to the podium?
You have to come up to the speaker because you have to be on. Yeah. So, ma'am, we don't do public comments, but because of the unusual nature of this application, we were happy to have.
It's not really an application.
It's a
comments,
question.
so.
It's really a question.
Yeah.
If the third floor was limited to a workforce of maximum 3 people, what would you recommend then?
That's up to the fire marshal.
I would sprinkler it and call it a day.
Or maybe the fire marshal would be fine with a lower occupant load, allowing that single staircase down to be sufficient. I mean, when I'm sitting here in this kind of situation, when I have my architect hat on, I'm just envisioning, if you look down those stairs and there's a fire on the second floor and you can't get out, you have to think about it.
Well, you have to think of something, yes.
You have to think about something else.
More
and
of an airplane
that's why sprinklers allow you so much more leeway, but it's an expense and it's a surgical incision into a precious interior, which we haven't even seen here. We're looking at the exterior
On the
aspects.
third floor, it's probably mostly staff and bedrooms, right? It's not historic.
That was just my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there not two staircases out of?
No, there's only one staircase, one staircase out, and it leads directly to the staircase down to the first
Drew,
floor.
what happens to the second floor where all those bathrooms are on the service wing? What becomes of that space?
It'll still be, you want to address that or? Address it?
You just need to come up to the mic, no.
It'll still be used.
For? Hi, just introduce yourself.
Chair Teach, Executive Director of Montauk Historical Society. We would hope that we would be able to use the second floor in a way that would allow the public to visit. By the way, members can call and get tours of the second floor. Sometimes it's not possible when we have an exhibition going on downstairs because we've got a lot of things we're storing upstairs. But we would like very much to be able to use that in a public way. And sometimes that would be for exhibitions. We would like to be able to have, sort of roundtables, visiting scholars, historians, research, possibly put part of our archive there, which would by appointment be available to people. So it's a sort of slightly reduced use, but we would certainly want to be able to have the public there. And I'm just one quick.
Sure.
I mean, I haven't spoken to Drew about this, but I'm thinking about the Maidstone Hotel, which has an exterior
fire escape,
and it's lost you don't notice it unless you're looking for it.
But it's very minor. It's a tiny little thing, really.
It goes across one roof, and I mean, it's pretty. I think it's.
But it's painted. I think it's painted white. So.
Well, maybe we could do that. Yeah. Maybe that would.
The white, I think it's black.
Is it black? I have to look at it.
But anyway, it sort of blends in. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I think looking at examples is key. You've got to find some kind of inspiration that, maybe Frank's firm would design an award-winning staircase that would be mind-blowingly. Like it would be as if you had Frank Gehry come and, come back from the dead and design something that would be for the ages, It's not, as opposed to a utilitarian fire escape, which we all love in Soho, but,
right.
I mean, I just think about the Frick Museum, which has gotten endless publicity about opening that second floor, which I just saw the other day. And it's like revolutionized people's visit to that house. And so I think the more accessible you make the building to the public, the more popular the place will be. So
absolutely, we hope to be able to do that.
Okay, well, we'll try and help you. Okay,
it's really exciting.
We're good. Okay, so our next meeting, because of the holiday, is January 8th. I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
Chris, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone.